Hi everybody, I'm Monique with Arizonans for Children, and today's video will be the first of many that we will share all throughout September in order to help mentors with different challenges they may be facing. Now, most of these tips and ideas and resources will be applicable for any time in the future, but they are intended to be pretty specific to challenges that are happening now. So there are still closures and restrictions, there's still a lot of safety concerns, and even though it's slightly less hot, it is still pretty warm out. So all of these things are creating challenges for mentors. Today's video will be about different visit and communication options mentors have. There are three main options for visits and communications. Your first is in person, which can be divided into two options. You can go over to your mentee's placement and do your visit there in the placement, or you can pick them up and go somewhere else, so on-site or off-site. Typically, on-site visits are not the most ideal because children really do want to get out of the house, but again, due to a lot of limitations that we're having right now, an on-site visit may be more ideal. It just depends on your mentee's placement type and what kind of activities you enjoy doing. Next is the virtual option, and this can be either virtual communications or virtual visits. Virtual communications, of course, is going to be a quick video chat to talk about how your day is going, what's new, going over issues, and things like that. The virtual visit is going to be longer and you're going to plan something to do together. The third option is going to be to talk by phone. Now, it's pretty hard to do a phone visit, so this is going to be primarily just communicating. But when we talk about activity ideas in the future, we'll go over ways that you can sort of boost this, where it's not really a visit, but you can still get a lot out of it. Now, I know I said there were three options, but there's kind of 3.5, because your other option is a hybrid, where you're combining some or all of these. And this can be pretty ideal because trying only one of these options can get pretty difficult, and so when you combine them, you can mitigate a lot of these challenges. Next, we'll talk about time requirements, but before I get into those specifics, I want to remind everyone that we know there are a lot of challenges going on right now, and you may not be able to meet these requirements on every visit every month. We want to help you get close to these marks, but if you're having trouble meeting them, just make sure you're talking to your coordinator. The bottom line, regardless of what kind of visit you're doing, is to maintain weekly contact with your mentee. Having that consistency is important for them anytime, but these days it's especially important to have that presence. First, we'll talk about visits, and we'll start with in-person. Rather than having a monthly requirement, we're just advising about 2 hours per visit. Virtual visits can be a little bit harder to plan, so we're recommending at least 30 minutes, although an hour would be ideal. Please remember that if you are doing a virtual only option, you don't want to only do communications each week. You want to do at least 1 or 2 visits a month, because planning activities to do together is really how you build that bond. Communications may be done either virtually or by phone. We recommend trying to talk for at least 15 minutes. If you're doing a video chat, it may be easier to do this, and you may even talk for longer, but phone can definitely be tough, especially if your mentee is just not into it. But again, in future videos, we'll talk about things you can do to help boost these conversations. Another big thing I'm seeing for mentors with teen mentees is that they're doing a lot of texting. And this is great because it really helps achieve that consistency I mentioned earlier. If you're doing texting, it's really great to do that, but I still recommend doing something more substantial. So this could be a phone call or a video chat some weeks, or a virtual visit or in-person visit other weeks. Communications are really important and they're so great, but those activities are what really build that bond and teach your mentee different skills. Before I end this video, I just want to remind you guys that out of everything we discussed, the most important thing I can say is make sure you're having weekly contact with your mentee. We do know that there are many reasons why these guidelines may be difficult for some of you, so please just make sure you're contacting your coordinator. As long as you're in communication with your mentee and your coordinator, we can make things work. In my next video, we'll go over a few activity ideas for each of the visit types I discussed today. If you have any questions, comments, or video ideas, anything you'd like to see addressed, please comment or contact your coordinator. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.